We're all jumping on. Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
Okay. The reason for today is to just, if you read the email, it was quite a bit of fun, just to give everybody that shot of enthusiasm, the jab of positivity. Bob's creative writing. How good was it?
It was your idea. Hilary came up with this idea on Thursday, and we thought,
I think it was Wednesday.
Might have been Wednesday. Anyway, you come up with every day. You got a brilliant idea, and it didn't give us a lot of time to get organised. So it was go. Quick email out there, bang it out a few times. See who wants to have brekkie in the morning, get charged up, energised, tune in, see what other people are up to.
Coffee instead of wine, it's nice for a change.
Cheers. Oh, this is a long black.
So, just the idea of just feeling a little bit enthused afterwards. The plan for this morning is Bob's going to have a chat to you because today's theme is creative developing. So we're going, it's creative developing. So how about that for a theme?
That can take a few forms. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that.
And with that, with the creative developing, so the plan of it, Bob's going to have a chat about that. I'll probably interrupt because I do that so well. That's why I was put on this earth. And
to interrupt me?
Yes. That was an interruption on me.
Then
Then he's going to go through a live deal or no deal, which will be great. So that's all set up in the recording room, good to go. We're going to rove round to our roving reporters and have an update on just what's happening in different states. And then we're just going to...
Real live deals.
Yeah, real things that are happening right now. I'm going to have a little bit of a chat, a little bit of that jab as well, a little bit of positivity.
Little bit.
Just a wee bit. And then we will just wind it up. You'll be out the door by 10 o'clock and we're going to be biking.
10:05, we'll be on our bikes.
Yep.
Literally.
Going for a bike ride.
Yeah.
So that's our plan. Has it worked for everyone? Can I have a thumbs up? Perfect. And even if you've got your camera off because you may be in bed, or maybe you've got your camera off because, you know, having a bad hair day, who cares? Even if you're doing the housework, whatever you're doing, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Let's get started, Bob. Let's talk about creative developing.
Well, that can take a few forms. I think we've got to be creative, in our minds, because, if we're just narrow-minded, if we're just working between some really tight parameters, it can be a little bit stifling. There's times when we have to think out. So, when I'm talking about creative developing, there's different aspects. It could be the product that we're going to develop. It could be that, everybody is sort of looking at this particular site for the same use. And, it might not be quite right. The location might be a bit wrong and the numbers aren't quite working. But I mean, creatively, what else could you do on there beside what the herd's thinking about? That could be creativity around a product.
Can I just interrupt there? We have somebody, and I know she's on, I can just see her name. I'm pretty sure that's her, who comes with deals all the time. I'm going to say your first name, Julie. So good at looking creatively at deals, like sees things differently, looks for different opportunities that are there.
And she's good at that. Yeah, and it's always exciting if Julie pops up with something, because I never know what it's going to be, what the twist is, because she's trying to see different angles on stuff, because it is competitive out there. And there might be a better way or a different way of doing something. So that's around the product. Design, we can be creative with our design as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we're really designing for our market. We have to know our market, or we don't know how we're designing. And because we teach a whole heap of ways of how to do that. But creative in design, looking for points of difference, particularly if there's a fair bit of product on the market. What's different about ours? What's going to make somebody? I'll have that one of Hilary's, not the one down the road of Joe Blogg's. So design. Oh, I
like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Have my one.
And of course, creative finance. That's a thing we're heavily into, and I have been in for absolutely decades. And when we're talking about creative finance, we're talking about structures and different ways of structuring deals, and of course using investors' funds in a whole range of ways. So that's
also creatively finding that person who you could be partnering up with on a joint venture, like creative ways of coming across and meeting them. And
yeah, well, that's particularly in the early days. I had to find a lot of these ways of getting investors. Yeah, so creative development.
Creative development. So through finding, through whatever is your product, through the people you are working with.
And
through how you behave. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. So creatively doing everything you can to get the result you're after.
I was just thinking, as you're saying that, about a project I did, it's quite a few years ago now. Oh, not way back in the old days, but
Can you just give us a year on the old days?
Well, this is not the old days. Okay. The old days for me could be like when some of these people were in nappies, but this is a project, I think it was about 2009, 10, around that sort of time. So I'd been developing for probably 26, 7 years or something at that point. So what happened? Are you up for a little story? I'll keep it short.
Yeah, no, we're definitely up for a story.
All right,
we learn from stories.
That's one of the things of being a developer for nearly 40 years. I could do like a 6-day workshop just on stories and people I've known. And anyway, I'll tell you how it came about. Back in those days,
it's a creative story.
Well, it's an example of a product change, thinking outside of the square.
Okay.
So I used to do a lot of my financing back in those days with Bank West. So Bank West these days aren't really a big force to be reckoned with. They're owned by the Commonwealth Bank, and they're out there. They're there, but they're not a big player. But back in the day, they were quite a strong lender in the development finance area, and I had a pretty good track record with them, to the point that they actually approached me to see if I wanted to do a sort of a quasi form of joint venture with them. Doing a joint venture with a bank, yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Not many people get that opportunity, Bob.
No, well, I've done joint ventures with banks, with finance companies, and all sorts of people. But this particular one, what the deal was, at the time, they were lending 80% of your total development costs as a loan, and you had to put in 20%. I said, look, how about we ratchet it up? How about we only ask you to put in 10%, we'll put in 90%, but just give us a little bit of a lick on the profit at the back end. And so I thought, well, that's a good idea, because if I only have to put in 10% instead of 20% of my costs, technically I can do twice as many projects. Because it's not a serviceability thing, we're talking development finance. And anyway, I'm making this too long. Long and the short of it is, because I had a relationship with the bank, they rang me up one day and they said, look, we've had a client, not actually a client, it was a new client, somebody had come in to look for a finance package. This particular person had two properties really close to the university. And when I say close, I'm talking about the university's the other side of the street. That's how close, you can't get closer than that.
No.
And what they did, they thought, well, perfect for student accommodation. So they headed off and got something designed up, not really knowing what they were doing, which is always dangerous. And what they designed was a 3-story building, what we call a class 2 building. So it's the same as apartments, heavy construction, block and slab, expensive stuff to build. And I think they had about 21 student rooms in there. Now, the bottom line is it didn't stack up because of the build cost, because of the number of rooms, but the position was impeccable. So old mate at Bank West rang me up and he said, look, we've had somebody come in here. I think this could be turned into a deal, but I don't quite know how, because the location's great. We're keen to fund something. Can I put you in contact with this person and see if maybe you can turn it into a deal? So it's pretty good when a bank rings you up and asks you if you can contact someone and turn it into a deal. And if you can, then we'll finance it. And that's what happened. So I met with the individual. They weren't particularly experienced, certainly not in that field, but they had brilliantly located. And so what I did, the first thing I did is got rid of that class 2 building, that really heavy, expensive construction. And what I went back to is actually townhouses. So what we designed... I
know the story. It's very interesting.
Well, not sure if you can do that now, but back in 2009, whatever it is, we could. So what we did, we designed 4 townhouses. Each townhouse had 9 bedrooms, and each bedroom had a little ensuite. Like, you only need about 2.4 by a metre as an ensuite. And so these were targeting student. This is pure student accommodation. So this isn't one of those deals where you go and build townhouses, normal regular townhouses, and then stick some students in. This was, we got a development permit for this design, purely a student accommodation. And one of the things about student accommodation is the car parking. We only needed 6 car parks for, 4 nights for 36 bedrooms.
Holy, how good's that?
Well, that enabled us to fit more on the site. And there was other relaxations that you could get. But what I did, I got away from what everybody was thinking. Because you could build 3 levels, everybody's thinking 3 levels, and they're thinking, solid construction. So 4 townhouses, 9 bedrooms each. And what we did, we put 2 townhouses on each lot. So there's 2 lots. What that meant is you could develop 2, get it all up and running, get the income going, and then go and develop the other 2. With the big building, it's really heavy construction. You either build it all or build nothing. You can't stage it. And we got more rooms in, and better rooms and better rent. those things are rented for over $300 a room per week. So you can work that out. 9 rooms, $2,700 times 4. It's over $10,000 a week income off the 4 townhouses. And admittedly, they weren't normal townhouses, being 9-bedders. There's other things relating to that I won't go into. It's a special type of finance because it's not your normal regular townhouse sort of finance. It's a specialised security. Anyway, we're not here to talk about finance. Thing is this, nobody else was sort of, the bank, the owner, they're just locked into this way of thinking. Well, actually, the entrepreneurial one was the bank. Because the bank, Johnny, smelt a deal. He wanted to do a deal. He knew this guy didn't have the deal, but he had the location and a bit of grunt. So it turned into a sort of a quasi joint venture of sorts with this particular person, and the numbers worked brilliantly. I mean, as a whole,
what was the percent? What was it? What did it come in at?
Oh, look, as a margin, which the margin was sort of in the mid-20s, but it's the cash flow.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying we love cash flow, and so anything that we develop that's got great cash flow, we want to keep it. Cash is king. So any of those things, and that was pure student accommodation, but with a big yield. I mean, that's pumping sort of 11-12%. Rental.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Like just looking out of the square in terms of the product.
Being creative with the product.
I mean, sometimes you can see a situation where it's on a busy road. There's a shopping centre across the road. There's buses everywhere. There's people. There's noise. And you think, I don't want to develop townhouses there. But then what about something like, say, rooming house? Do they care? Not usually. They want to be next to shops. They want to be, where the transport is. The noise doesn't really matter all that much, like it's a different product, a different sort of, well, not so much a buy with rooming houses, more tenants, but that's the things they want, because a lot of them don't have transport, for instance. So it's just two ways of looking at the same thing, different products, creatively thinking about products. Yeah.
So bringing that back to everybody here, it's like right now, if there is that struggle, that bottleneck wherever you're at, what could you do creatively? What could be seen creatively? If you could think just that little bit differently, what could it be?
As far as product goes.
Yeah, product.
Yeah, and design. I mean, that example I gave you, I guess, was a combination of product and design. When we had a design that didn't work for all those reasons I talked about, so we had to do something different. We had to drop the build cost a lot in order to make it work. I mean, the rental situation, what you rent a room for, wouldn't have mattered either way. But what we wanted to do is get, ideally, more bedrooms on, which gives us a better income, but a lower build cost. The benefit was that we could stage it as well. So because we could stage it, 2 townhouses later, 2 townhouses, that meant we didn't have to put in as much equity, and the loan's lower. So that's a combo of product and design.
Great story, Bob.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got a few of those.
Yeah. Well, there's more people in the waiting room. So, all righty.
You're busy admitting people.
I know. I'm sitting here clicking, click, click, click. But great to see everybody on. Okay, so that was sort of
like the receptionist at a COVID hotel.
That's very
constantly admitting people.
Is Michael Tellison. It's great to see so many people on. Like Erica, Carla, like so many.
Oh, Erica's on.
Yeah,
we're going to catch up with Eric and have some yum cha.
Yeah.
That reminds me. Your shout, Erica.
For the yum cha, yum.
Yum.
Well, Bob, would you like to go down and do your deal or no deal?
Okay.
We're going to have one live, but when you go down,
I'll go and do that, and then we'll talk to our roving reporters.
After that, we'll go around. Well, yeah, go around the state.
Are you going to do a bit?
Yeah.
You work it out.
All right, you're off.
I'm off to the war room.
Off to the recording room.
Okay. This is a deal or no deal. Haven't seen one of these before. This is where I grab an opportunity that's landed on my desk. Could have come from anywhere, buyer's agent, who knows? And I pull it apart. We have it, we do the due diligence on it. Ultimately, we crunch the numbers and decide whether it's a deal or a no deal. Okay, this is it. Here's the details. It's an 810 square metre lot, but it's in 2 lots. What's that mean? Well, quite typically, it's what you typically call a splitter. So this thing could be a splitter. It could be split in half. In fact, it's already 2 lots. If we wanted to do it as a splitter, we'd only have to split the title. So it's already 2 lots, split the title. That's a pretty quick thing to do. But is that the highest and best use? Well, we'll decide that. It's zoned for 2 or 3 level. Now this, have a look at this. The frontage, 17 metres and 46.6. If you're watching this on a phone, you're going to be struggling.
Yeah, what they need to do, in the top corner of their Zoom, there's a thing that says speaker view, those little dots, there's like 9 dots on the grid. So if they go over to there, you will be able to have it so it takes up the whole of your screen. So go to speaker view and it'll come, the whole thing will come up. Just have a few messages, it's too small.
Their phone's too small.
No, they'll be able to see if they hit speaker view. So then they'll just get this on the screen.
Did you get that? Speaker view.
In the top right corner.
Top right corner, speaker view. Expand your screen. Go over this again. 810 square metres in 2 lots. Could be a splitter if we wanted to go that way. But it's zoned for 2 or 3 level. So that typically 2 or 3 level, what's that? Well, that's townhouses, apartments, that sort of thing. Running 17 metres and 46.6. That's a big deal as a frontage. Well, not really, because it's a corner block. So one frontage on the corner, 17 metres. It's a bit narrow normally for 810. 46.6 metres in the long ways. It's got a DA already. A DA for 5 townhouses. Asking price, $1 million. That's a nice round number. $1 million for a site with a DA for 5 townhouses. That's a good start. Okay, let's have a look at it. What have we got there? Okay, I did say it was a corner block, and there it is. That's one street frontage, and that's the other street frontage. So this is the lot, hatched in black there. And as we can see, there's a house on that lot, vacant backyard. It might be possible, if we wanted to go this way, it's already 2 lots. The 2 lots go that way. If we wanted to realign the boundaries, we could make it 2 lots that way and cut a lot off there with the existing house and have a spare lot and maybe build something else there. We could, but this one already has a DA for 5 townhouses, so let's go in that direction. Now, street view, that's what it looks like. It's a beautiful old, don't know when that was built, but it's a beautiful little blue cottage. Look at it, gorgeous. That's it, corner view. So that's the long street frontage this way. That's the short street frontage as it looks. So what do we got? Location-wise, it's 200 metres from the shops. That's pretty good. 200 metres from a cafe, 900 metres to school, and 400 to a train station. That's a pretty good location. The thing I particularly like about this is 400 metres to the train station. I love transport, public transport, particularly something like a train station or even a bus interchange. That's great. So good location-wise. Let's have a look. Well, that's the size. You probably can't read that. I barely can. That's the lot. So it's about 46.7, 46.6 each lot. Little lots, 8.5. That's what I was saying before. It's in 2 lots, long ways. Pretty useless, really. If you did want to turn it into a 2-lot subby, you subdivide it in that direction. Zoning. Okay, I did say before it was zoned for 2 or 3 stories. Now, it already has a development permit, but let's just say it didn't, and we're looking at it as a deal. So that's it there. So that's the corner lot. Here it is there. 1 street frontage, 2nd street frontage, and that is the lot. So that colour in this particular council tells me that it's 2 and sometimes 3-story height limit, and that it, I could do apartments, could do townhouses. We already know it's got a DA, but aside from that, so that's that there, that pink colour. Okay, contour-wise, I'll have to decipher this for you. Depending on the size of your screen at the moment, these are 1 metre contour lines. So this came off the council website. There they are there. So that's 12 and that's 13. So what it's telling me is that the numbers are going in that direction. So what it is, from the lowest point to the highest point in that direction. So that's about 12.5 metres. That's 13, 14. So it's probably over the whole 46 metres. It's about a 2.5 metre fall. 2.5 into 46, that's sort of like 1 in 18, 19, 20. Not too bad. It's not too much of a slope. We can work with that. So not too bad there. Okay, let's have a look at some of the services. I know that's a bit blurry. So that's our lot there. That's it there, a green, that green lot, that's where we are. Now, this red line,
which goes around the corner. That's the sewer. So as we can see, we could connect. Remember, that's the highest point, it's the lowest point. So we could get a sewer connection. There's a chamber there, but we could hook in anywhere here. And so we're going to get gravity feed to the sewer. That's brilliant. I mean, it's 2 frontages of sewer. We're not going to have any trouble hooking into the sewer. The blue line is the water, town water, reticulated water, if you like. Never a problem anyway because it's pressurised, but there's a couple of connections there. At the moment, that's the connection. We might use the same connection. Might need a little bit of an upgrade out of the main, but that's okay. So sewer's fine, water's fine. What about stormwater? Okay, so here's our block. There it is, that red hatched one. There's the corner, 1 street, 2nd street there. Okay, now what we've got here is we've got a main. What's happening around here is that the houses are just discharging into the curb and then collecting it. So no big drama there. Doesn't mean you have to have a direct line into the stormwater. What's happening a lot around here is just being discharged. Discharged into the curb, water runs down the hill, goes into a gully trap, and off she goes. So no problem with stormwater. Normally on corner blocks, you don't generally get a lot of problems with services because you've got sort of 2 frontages to work with. Site plan. So what's happening? Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3. That looks like 5 blocks of land. Okay, what's happening here? A little bit different. This is a townhouse development. Now, normally when you do a townhouse development, the type of title that we end up with might be like a strata title, call different things in different states. But normally it's, some form of strata title, and the common property, which is the driveways, business car park, those sorts of things, are owned by the, by the owners corporation or the body corporate, whatever you want to call it in your state. And so you've got a different sort of title. It's like a strata title, and then you've got your body corporate with all the normal stuff, body corporate rules, and so forth. What they've done here, because of the corner lot, they've gone for a different type of title. They've gone for Torrens title fee simple. That's freehold fee simple. A lot of people just say freehold. No, it's freehold fee simple title. So what happens here is each townhouse has its own individual title. It's not a strata title. There's no body corporate. There's no common property as such. So this is a little bit different. So when you get a development permit on this type of project, it's actually a double development permit. And they both run concurrently at the same time. What we've got here is we've got a subdivision plan for 5 lots. At the same time, we're getting a development permit for 5 townhouses. So a little bit different. Why would you do that? Well, they're worth more when they're finished. So if you've got a townhouse on a strata title versus a townhouse, same townhouse on its own individual title, this one will be worth more. There's a little bit more in the construction. They each have to have their own individual servicing, just can't run off a branch line. There's a bit more in the surveying, a bit more in the titling, but overall, you generally get a much better result if you can do that sort of thing, and corner blocks are great for doing that. Some councils don't like that sort of development, but some do. In this case, obviously the council did because it's got an approval. Okay, let's have a look at the design. Now, this might be a bit confusing, but what we've got here, once again, 1 street frontage, 2nd street frontage. We've got townhouse 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's our 5 townhouses, and this is our long street frontage. Obviously, the house is gone, demolished. On the ground floor, I know you can't, I'll just quickly tell you, we've got a kitchen, big walk-in pantry, laundry toilet out here, and then all kitchen, dining, living, garage. Now, this front has a single garage. At the time, when this DA went through, you could get by with a single garage. As it is at the moment, you wouldn't actually be able to do that because the town plans changed around here, and now you need doubles. But anyway, as it is, it's approved. That's all you need to know. And upstairs, standard 3-bedroom configuration. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we've got here, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms and a bit of a family room. So these are all 3 bedrooms with 2 living rooms, 1 down, 1 up. That's great. And obviously all with the ensuite. So I like the layout of that. They're quite functional, and particularly the titling. So let's have a look. This is the artist's impression. Here's the elevation. So this is from the long street frontage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are there. And you can see the slope a little bit. not a lot of slope, but they've stepped them coming down the hill with the slope. That's what it looks like. Here's another elevation, if you like, from the sides. And so, yeah, a mixture of composite sort of materials on the outside. Okay, let's have a look. Let's crunch some numbers and see if this thing works. Now, what I've done here, this is what I call my 5-minute feasibility format. What I've done, I've got the GRV, which is the sale price. I might have to read these numbers out if you can't see them. I've done it on a per townhouse basis because that's easier. That's how your sort of brain works. If you want to talk about the whole project, we multiply everything by 5. Just looking at it, the way developers think is per unit. GRV, sale price, 770. So average sale price, 770. How do I know? Well, I've researched that area. I've had a look what other stuff sold for. I've made a bit of an adjustment upwards for the title. Less. Now, these are all cost components here. Now, the land, I put that in at 208,500. Remember, it was 200,000 per block. They wanted $1 million. There's 5 townhouses. That's 200,000. I've added a little bit extra for legals and stamp duty. Construction, I put that in at 320,000. They're a decent size. They're not hard to build. They're relatively easy to build, but they're a little bit bigger. And I've added that in about 320. That'll definitely take care of that. Consultants fees, not a lot to go. It's already fully approved at the moment. Council fees, 26,000. So consultants fees 3, council fees 26. Now that looks high to a lot of people. And the reason for it looks high is because a lot of councils around Australia don't charge that much. This particular council is pretty hungry and they charge a lot for contributions. So a lot of that is ugly council's contributions. Financing, $27,000. This is all per townhouse. Marketing, I generally run around 3% to cover agents, commission, point of sale material, off-plan contracts, that sort of stuff. So it's 24,000 marketing. GST helps out at 21,000. I just got miscellaneous 5,000 bits and pieces. So point is, these are all our costs. That's what we sell them for. The difference is going to be our profit. And is it a good enough margin? Well, let's have a look. I'm going straight here. Oh, yes, 21.3%. So we always look for the magical 20%. Banks probably in a good area, a normal bank would probably go from 17% upwards. 21.3, I'm happy with that. This is a first pass. Now, obviously, I'm not going to jump on and buy this thing without doing more research. I want to research that, make sure that number's right, research the costs. I'm going to talk to a builder, make sure I've got the right build cost in there. The others are pretty straightforward to calculate. But return on cost, 21.3%. Now, if you're not used to seeing that, what that means is the profit of 135,500 expressed as a percentage of the cost, 634,500, is 21.3. So the profit on this project, if you multiply 135 by 5, you can come up with about, I don't know, 670,000 or something like that. $670,000 profit out of that particular project. So there it is. 770 sale price, 634 cost price, profit 135, margin 21.3. Is that a deal? Is that a deal? It's a deal. This is a deal. I'm going out there straight away. I'm going to go and buy this. I'll catch you later.
Well, there you go. How good was that? Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nice. Okay, where are we up to now? I think it's time we started going around. We started going around the room. So we come back to, is everyone's screens okay? You can see what you're doing? Yep, thumbs up. I need some thumbs up just to help me out a bit. Okay, let's get started then with, how about we start with, I have to go and find you. Should we start come help me here, Bob. You can do the intro.
I want to get out and buy this site.
Oh, you want to get out and buy a site?
Okay, 25 minutes and I'm in the car.
25 minutes and you're in the car. Okay, so we'll start with who, I've got to see how I can find this here. Jamie Stone.
Jamie.
Hang on, Jamie. I've just got to unmute. Can I ask you to unmute, Jamie? Can you do that by yourself? Or do I need to? I'm still admitting people non-stop.
I can. Hello, how you
Oh,
going?
yay. Thanks, Jamie.
He's a Zoom expert.
Hi, all.
Jamie on Zoom.
So if everyone can hear and see Jamie well? Okay, you go.
Jamie, how you going, man?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
Yeah, great. So,
excellent.
Jamie, you're involved in some projects in Adelaide.
First of all, he's our roving reporter.
Well, he's our roving reporter. He's looking after South Australia or Adelaide. He doesn't live there,
no,
but he used to live there.
I used to live there. I grew up there, so I know it quite well.
Yeah, so this is a situation where you live in say Sydney, but you're developing in Adelaide. So that's a remote, what we call a remote development. And lots of people do that.
And actually, just even thinking, adding to that, Jamie and his wife, Casey, they actually did remote renovating during lockdown. So that was pretty, I interviewed them. If you're in the accelerator, go back and watch that. But it was really cool that you thought creatively, Jamie.
Yeah, I reckon remote renovating would be even harder than remote development. But anyway,
yeah, it wasn't
Jamie
easy. It certainly was hard, but it's certainly doable.
Well, you've proved that.
We didn't have much choice at the time, so we had to do it.
Well, that's the thing, you know, we sort of, a lot of us were cast into having to do stuff, you know, last year particularly, because, you know, what we were used to doing, we might not always, you know, be able to do last year, which is great. So Jamie, you've gone back to, I'll call it your old hometown where you were brought up, and tell us what you're doing over in Adelaide. You've got a couple of things on the go, don't you?
Yeah, a few projects. The first one's like a cellar JV. It's like a 3-villa townhouse project. That starts construction in about a week or two's time. Another two that we have are kind of higher end duplex or spec home builds. So one of those we brought back in May this year, which is at auction for 810,000. And that's a nice wide frontage, about 22 meter frontage. It's about 700 square meters, and we settled back in June, mid-June, and that one's been submitted to council already, so being quite fast, which is good. And we're going to build 2 nice big double-story homes, double lock-up garage, 4-bedroom, a master upstairs and downstairs, and a nice alfresco. So that'll be about 450,000 to build per side, and selling for about 1.2 each after. Oh,
that's great. So just a real quick thing, mate. There's a good margin in that. So upmarket in Adelaide. Adelaide performed really well right through COVID last year. It was one of the really good performers. And so when did you first make your foray back into Adelaide? It would have been during COVID, obviously. When I say COVID, I mean last year. You know, COVID's still around.
Last year. So kind of mid to late last year, we just got a deal through a family member for this seller JV. So it kind of all fell from there. Just met more people in the industry down there, more developers, more agents, more builders, got a lot more contacts, and it just fell into place. I was looking in Sydney for quite a long time, and as everyone knows, Sydney is just going ballistic with prices, and you can do the same sort of project in Adelaide, but for half the price. You know, these higher end duplex builds, you might buy that property in Sydney for say 2 mil to 3 mil, and you're buying them down there for say 800, 900 to a mil. Build costs a lot cheaper, and generally a bit faster than Sydney as well, and the council as well. So it just kind of works well.
Don't say too much, Jamie. You'll be creating competition. Everybody will be rushing to Adelaide.
Don't take notes.
Exactly. No. Meanwhile, we're Googling.
Yeah, so that's great. When you got that, when you can pick up a property for sort of 8 or 9 and a build, and you're out on that sort of a sale, you can just like 2 or 3 seconds. There's definitely a margin there, and that's great. So,
but also adding to that, Bob, like he mentioned a creative strategy with a landowner who is a family member, and those opportunities are available all the time. You know, like we don't, look amongst the people you know. You don't always have to find a stranger. No,
it's all. I think it's important that people know what you're doing. Now, whether you do things with friends and relatives is entirely up to you, but you have to let people know that you are in that industry, that you're a developer, and not sort of hide it. So Jamie, that's great. So you're going great guns there. I've seen this happen before with what happened to Jamie, where they start developing remotely. So you get your first project.
Tony, just mute, please.
Tony, just mute, mate.
I got it. Sorry. Got it.
So what's happened, and I've seen this before, is people start to develop in another area, often another state. And so they do their first project, and in doing their first project, they start to build up rapport with agents and architects and even builders, that sort of thing. And before they know it, another opportunity comes up, perhaps from the same agent, the agents you're selling with, And next thing, then they're doing another project, you know, and then before you know it, you're doing a number of projects. I know somebody who lived in Sydney, started to do something in Brisbane. I only intended it to be a one-off. Somebody in our mentoring program a while back, and ended up doing 9 projects because one just followed another, and that can happen. Jamie's already taking off doing that.
Yeah, that's going great. Like you said, it all kind of fell into place. I've met people, made contacts. One led in the second one, and the third one, a fourth one in the pipeline, and you know, looking. The third one's with a JV partner as well. So looking at other creative ventures. So it's all just going well. I'm just finding a niche, finding a groove, and it's going great. So
you're doing the smart work now because you've got a bit of a team together and you're finding deals. You're looking hard. I know how it works. You know, quite a few they end up in the rubbish bin, but every so often you get that little pearl. And so you're obviously looking, well, okay, I can do more deals. Let's find more people to come in. Some more investors come in. Investors come in. You do another deal. It's a bit like the old snowball rolling down the hill. You know, gathering more deals, gathering more investors, doing more deals. Everybody making money. Everybody's happy. It's that sort of thing on a roll.
Okay. Well, that's well done, Jamie. I think everyone needs to give Jamie a bit of a round of applause.
I give a lot of applause to Jamie because I know working with him last year, we did look at quite a few deals. We looked at deals that didn't stack up. It's always disappointing. You start working, things end up in the bin. But Jamie never gave up. He was always on to the next deal, and now it's paid off. You know, it's a bit like a fruit tree. It takes a while to bear fruit, but when it starts bearing fruit, it really starts bearing fruit. Jamie's a great fruit tree.
All righty. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I don't know how we can move the screen back to us. You have to put. I think I need to put you on mute if you can. Put yourself on mute. That'd be great. Thanks, Jamie. I think the next one is going to be me.
Oh, you.
What are you up to? We need to talk about my development.
I never know what you're up to, Hilary.
No, you know what I'm up to. I've got an NDIS project over in Western Australia with a JV builder friend of mine, of ours, and it's a high care. So if you don't know much about NDIS, there's level 1, 2, and 3. So the level 3 is very high care, which means it has a lot more. It's got, even though it's only 2 levels, it's 4 units with a carers unit. Even though it's only...
You've got a lift in that as well.
Yeah, there's a lift in there. So yeah, it's 4 units with a carers unit. It's been a little bit slow due to COVID issues and finance has been a little bit slow. So we've just pushed on anyway because we're just getting it going, and like the finance will happen eventually, but it doesn't matter. We can get it going.
Maybe next month, I think.
Hopefully, yeah. So we're just doing the tilt slabs at the moment.
Yeah.
And,
well, the thing about Perth is, I know you're doing this one in Perth.
Carla's there too, and I hope there's a few Perthies on. Is
the Perth market's been picking up for a while. Now we know Perth hit its previous high in the middle of 2014. So you know it's coming from sort of minus 30% what it was then, but it's more than half back. And so Perth's on the march upwards. What that means, of course, and I know you and your builder joint venture partner have found harder to get trades. Yeah. And then also trades charging more. You know, brickies have gone up and up and up. Oh, and hard to get trades. So I think, as you say, that's had a little bit to do with the tardiness. Yeah. But you're well underway. But the good thing about an NDIS project, and most of you probably know about that, is the return. So really at the end of the day, keeping the investment and then just refinancing it out and moving on. So, yeah, retail it out at the back end, hold it. Yeah. So that's where I'm at, which is pretty exciting. And it's so nice to talk about it out loud. I want you to own as many NDIS projects as you can. So do I. Pumping cash. Yeah, me too. Taking me out to nice restaurants, nice holidays when we can travel again. Oh yeah, he's leaving it up to me. Okay, so next we're going to talk to. So that's me being creative, developing different type of living in Queensland, different type of product, and doing it in Western Australia. Because that from memory, that site that you're doing the NDIS on was originally going to be an apartment site. Yep. But didn't really stack up because of the Perth market, but sort of stacks up in a different way with a different product, a bit like that thing I talked about with the student accommodation earlier. The bill price is a lot more because it's level 3, so that it is a bit, but it pays off at the other end. Okay, let's move on to our next roving reporter. Who's that? It's going to be Kaz. Is she there? Is Kaz on? It says ask to unmute. You got to hit the unmute button, Kaz, and there she is. Oh, she's on. Yet. Is she on? There she is. There she is. Kaz is always preceded by a laugh. She's one of the happiest people I've ever met. The happy developer. The happy developer. We've got the accidental developer. Kyle's out there. Yeah. Now we've got the happy. This is her 5th coffee.
Yeah, probably. Okay, where are we at, Kaz?
So Kaz from beautiful Victoria.
Recently back in
Beautiful
lockdown.
Kaz from beautiful Victoria.
Yep.
So you've got a project happening down there, Kaz, which is going to be a very beautiful 2-story duplex.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about that. How did you end up acquiring it? Was it like off market? Was it an auction? Was it an agent's listing? Where'd you get hold of that one?
It was an auction.
Well,
Yep.
Victoria.
Yeah, I was only going to go and have a look at it and see what the outcome was, and then I got caught up in it, and then
got excited. Got
yeah,
excited at the auction. So yeah. So you'd had a bit of a look around. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Not recommended to do, but yeah. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah, so I know because we worked together in the mentoring program, we looked at a number of deals and we just couldn't quite get them over the line, you know, from a feasibility point of view. So you had a good idea of, you know, what things sell for, what we needed to buy for to get the right margin. So it's just a matter of doing the hard yards, you know, looking for deals, talking to agents, all that stuff that you do well, having lots of coffees, having lots of meetings with people.
There's a few comments in the chat going, is Kaz coming straight from a cafe?
Which could even be at a cafe. I don't know, maybe not.
No.
Yeah. So we know how you operate, Kaz. Lots of people do. You're on all the forums. You're probably one of the most famous personalities out there, actually. I feel privileged just to have you on our breakfast show. So you found this deal. You rocked up. You arrived at an auction. You did some quick numbers in your head, and you thought, okay, I know what's going on here, and bingo, you won it.
Yeah. Well, I knew there was certain, you know, it was a corner block, and you know, it was in a great area. You know, I had a few little things going on in my head that thought, this is good.
After 5 coffees.
And and I just got caught up, and then boom.
And boom, you got it. I remember the excitement when you let us know. We were pretty excited for you, of course. So it's a corner block, as you just said. It's got a development. Now you bought it with a development permit in place.
Yes, and that was another thing, because you know, the shorter time frame that I was really interested in. You know, so, so that was one of the biggies too. Yeah,
it is, because things can be a little bit slow in some councils in Victoria, and now if you've got it settled on the site, and you've got to sort of carry it for that period of time where the council's yawning and, you know, trying to make up their mind. So you made the move, bang, you thought, this thing's got a DA, that's what I want. I can move straight into a building permit, which is what you're doing now. You're moving at 100 kilometres an hour. And so you made friends with the previous architect, hey? And you've been working closely. That's a good relationship, working well?
Yeah, it really is. So, and it's really quick too, so.
Yeah, so this is the architect who got the development permit for the owner of the lot. Yes,
he'd already done half of it, so I just continued with him, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah, so you got him on side, which is not hard. I know you're very good at getting people on side, and so he's proved to be fast, which is important because that's what you wanted. I mean, you avoided having to get the development permit straight into the building permit. You got the whips cracking there. It's people running around everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's moving pretty fast. And the thing is, like, you haven't even settled yet.
No, it settles on the 18th.
Yeah, so you're getting all this work done.
Yeah.
With the building permit before you even have to settle. So that's great because you don't have to carry that you know, the bank loan for all that long.
Yeah.
Well, during construction, obviously, but the sooner you get on site, the better. So at the moment, what do you got the architect's plans together, and you're working with the architect closely. You got any builders to talk to? What's happening there?
Yeah, I've just sent all the documents out for tender. So the architect said it'll be about a couple of weeks before I hear back. Okay,
so in a couple of weeks, you're going to have build price. So that's about probably roughly the time you settle. So by the time you settle, you've already got the development permit. You're pretty much very close to finalising the building permit because you probably know what builder, you'll have quotes in. So you'll be pretty much by the time you settle, just finalising the builder. obviously then organising the building contract with the builder, which enables you to sort of sort out your construction finance. So, geez, you're moving at 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Well, 160 kilometres an hour, I should say. So that's great. So you're flying.
So it's a better watch the space, isn't it?
Yeah. Next time we get you on the air, you'll have the thing half built, maybe in a couple of months.
Well, you'll be able to come and see it when you come down here.
Well, definitely, yeah.
We
can't wait to come down.
Yeah, and I just want to show you this because I've been, doing the course.
Oh, look at it. Yes. Oh, so you're showing us that you are going through it again.
That's the flow charts. That's one of the flow charts.
Yeah. So I thought you'd be excited about
I never doubted that you were doing the course. She moves so fast.
Yeah.
That's great. So that sounds like something really good. And like I've seen the plans, I love them. And a corner block, my passion. We just did a deal or no deal on a corner block. Having the 2 entries, a different entry for each of the units.
That's a massive, massive plus in that area. So
yeah.
Can add on another 100.
Yeah. Another 100. Yeah. You're showing off. Some people work a couple of years to make $100,000 and we say, I've just made another 100. Okay. Well, look, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for sharing.
We're all pumped up now, always am when I talk to you.
Pleasure.
We've got Kyle's keen to share.
Kyle.
Kyle's going to share the Queensland project. Kyle, are you just under Kyle in your where are you?
Thanks, Kaz.
Thank you, Kaz. We'll put you back on mute. Thank you so much for sharing. You have to go back to mute. Kyle, where are you?
I'm here. Hello.
Oh,
that's Kyle. Hey, man.
Okay, cool.
Tell us about your project, the accidental developer, as we call it.
If you're listening to the podcast, it comes up in the next 2 episodes where we talk about Kyle, the accidental developer. And if you're not listening to the podcast, Property Mastermind podcast with Hilary.
Get on there.
Yep.
Take it away.
Hey, with regards to your podcast, can you give us a little bit of detail on this NDIS program thing that you're doing? Because in our final stage where we've helped ourselves, helped our family, and then we're going to help the community, we'd like to look into that sort of thing as well. So if you could give us a bit on that in the podcast, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, in a few episodes, I'm sure we could do that. And there was just a question there, somebody asked a couple of questions. NDIS, yes, it is National Disability Scheme.
Insurance scheme, yeah.
Yeah, insurance scheme. All right, go.
Okay, so we bought a block around the corner from us, 8,000 square meters. It was going to be our PPR. So we fully went into it. We got designs for a building. We got finance from the bank. They were all good. We spoke to a town planner about it. He was okay with it. Then we went to council and they said, no, you need reticulated sewage. And they said it's going to, so we went and got costing on that. It was going to cost $100,000. We were already at our limit at our build. There was no way we could afford another 100 to put the sewage in. So our town planner said, why don't you develop it? And I had no idea what to do. And so I started ringing around everyone I could think to ring and spoke to someone down in Melbourne that was a YouTuber that did women in property or something like that. They put me on to Bob, and so we're now developing it.
So Kyle's in our mentoring program. We didn't know the roving reporter Kyle was coming on today, but there he is.
No, last minute. I just sent him a text and said, hey, Kyle, do you want to talk about yours?
So he bought this property with an existing house with the intention of subdividing it into 2 and just building a lifestyle block or something, was it? And then
we were gonna cut off a small section for the existing house and take the rest for our PPR.
Yeah. But then the cost of bringing the services in sort of killed that idea. So now you've gone the full hog. And so you're getting a development permit for how many lots?
It was for 13, but the engineers are thinking that we're only going to get 12 out of it because of the storm water. But that's okay. That still brings it in roughly on paper to 20%, with an uplift of $350 to $400 on the land price. On the land price
alone, so that's the uplift just by getting the DA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Creative thing.
Because we got the land price down quite a bit actually.
Yeah. So that's called free equity. Hey, when you get a development permit and the land goes up, it's sort of free, but it's not really free because you're using your head. Well, that's great. So now it's sort of I know because we work with Kyle, so we're getting some costings back from engineers. So it's now time to let's crunch the numbers and really understand it, and then move forward finance-wise. So, there's Tony again. What's he up to? Keeps
Hey, Tony. Yeah, look, getting the legal sorted because it was all in my name, and getting the structure set up right, and starting a business with my wife and the mother-in-law who put in for the property as well because she was going to take the little block. And yeah, getting all of that stuff took a long time to get sorted. Once that was sorted, we started on town planning and engineers, and because of the market at the moment, that's real slow. So it's really dragging the chain.
It is a bit, but I mean, you've also moved into a great time period as well. So, you know, you've sort of in terms of selling it, I mean, selling land on affordable land like you're going to be doing, I mean, that's a sort of a foregone conclusion, I think. So the fact that it's been a little bit slower, you know, that's what's happened. Now, some people that were held up a bit and you had to get a lot of structure things sorted out, is the market's still very solid, particularly for land, you know, and will continue to be for quite a while. So that's why we call Kyle the accidental developer.
That's what you're known as now.
You know, one of the great things, what I love about Kyle, he was sort of a bit tentative about this suddenly jumping into a 12 or 13 lot subdivision.
I'm talking to him, he's like really nervous, and then he says in the next breath,
can't wait to do my next project. He's already started thinking beyond this one, you know, and even is into a career, and like he's got his whole sort of life mapped out now as a property developer.
I was talking to him this week, and oh my God.
That's what property development does to you.
Get you excited.
Yeah, no, it's very addictive. I can see myself getting very addicted to this. And look, I'm trying to do some forward thinking with the marketing side of this as well. I've contacted the builder that was going to build our PPR, and they're going to do some house and land packages to sell to some investors. So we'll already have a couple of lots out of the way by the time we get finance and things like that. So should be pretty smooth sailing once we get the groundwork started.
I've got a close friend who could be interested as well, a mutual friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk to you about that.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much.
Thanks for jumping in.
No dramas.
The accidental developer.
The accidental roving reporter.
I'm in North Brisbane for whoever asked that. And thanks, Ella.
It's not. That's actually Tom. He's under his daughter's. That's the nom de plume.
Oh, Tom, secret Tom.
Secret Tom. Okay, next we're going to go to Nolan. So Nolan, can you unmute yourself? And Nolan, living in Sydney, and he's doing a joint venture up around Newcastle. So not another person, not developing.
Another remote development.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Remote at the moment.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? You're still in lockdown, hey?
Obviously. Still in lockdown.
God knows when you're going to get out of that. So you might as well just keep developing from home.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing about property development. All you need is a laptop, a phone, and a table. Could be done anywhere.
You make it sound easy.
Oh, well, you got to make it sound easy. It's not always easy.
No, some parts are hard.
Yeah.
All right. So where are you up to?
What are you doing?
Give us a brief on it, and then tell us where you're at.
Yeah, sure. So it's what are we now? We're August. So we've been in DA since beginning of March, and we had a delayed settlement. We exchanged on the property in November last year, so we had a delayed settlement for 6 months.
Yeah, and what's your proposal? What are you doing?
So we're doing 5 townhouses, and they're strata. So we were hoping to do Torrens, but we couldn't get Torrens on it. So we're doing strata.
Yep.
And so they're 3 beds. They've got a little living room upstairs, open plan living, dining, 2 bathrooms, 2 bathrooms upstairs, toilet downstairs. Look, they're a block back from the beach. So great location, and look, we think an up and coming location. And look, it's there's been a few sticky bits through DA. We've basically wanted to keep the rear lane sealed off so that we just had front road access. There's both front and rear, but the council basically wanted us to open up the rear lane. So we've been going backwards and forwards on that.
There's a bit of cost if you do that.
We don't want to do it, and we're almost at the point. Hopefully almost at the point where we've got them to agree to not do it, but not quite there, almost.
It's funny because sometimes when you've got a rear lane, council don't want you to touch it. And then you've got a point where they do want you to spend money on it and you don't need to. So just convincing them. So hopefully that's close to getting sorted out. That'll be good.
Hope so. Yep. So
we'll know my love affair with councils.
Don't say that word. It's illegal in this house.
So you're managing this project. You've got joint venture partners involved, and And so a couple of discussions, I call them discussions with council on the way through.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those discussions are going on with the architect and the council, to be honest with you. So, which I'm pleased about, because it's all a little bit too much above my pay grade for technical stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's why architects spend 6 years in university and town planners spend 4, and then they go out and get experience. That's what you pay for.
Exactly.
Just got to steer the ship.
Steer the ship, yeah. So hopefully, we'll look, if we get a fair wind with it, we're targeting construction starting around October timeframe. With a 10 to 12 month construction timeframe, but we're seeing now some pressure on supply chain and stuff like that, as everyone probably is, right? So that's going to impact it by the same.
Yeah, but hopefully the GRV's moved up a little bit, and
I hope so.
Like people are saying to me, "Oh, aren't you scared bill costs are going up?" And I said, as long as sale prices are going up, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
People said, "Oh, timber's going up 30%." And I say, I know that adds $2,100 to the cost of a townhouse. So, I mean, the value's going up $2,100 before lunch. Anyway, there you go. It's my 5 cents worth.
Yeah, I love.
That's good advice, actually, Bob. I think that's something good to remember in these times when prices are going up. That everything's going up,
But also, it's usually like if timber's going up, it's such a small amount of a development.
And we've got steel, and we got labour, and they take a bit longer, so our interest up's a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, it's a healthy market.
Yeah.
It's very rarely you ever have bill costs going up and sale prices going down, because it's usually the fact that the market's active is why prices go up. And if it's active, sure, builders are busy and tradies are busy and materials go up, but then that's often driven off an active market. So if a build goes up $1, the sale price only has to go up 30 cents to wipe it out.
There you go. There's a good rule of thumb, everybody. Take that.
That's a good rule of thumb. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Nolan. We're getting quite. We've actually gone a little bit over.
Our New South Wales roving reporter, Nolan Keenan.
I'm going to hit mute.
We're going to mute you out now.
Yeah,
thanks for that, man.
Thank you, Bob. We've gone a little bit over, so it looks like we're going to go till about 1:15 if everyone wants to stay on. We'll leave if you.
Yeah, this is important. This next bit is.
Oh, what do you want to talk about?
No, I'm not talking about. I've talked. I'm talking about you.
Okay. Well, then we won't be too long. I'm just going to talk
5
about.
minutes with you.
Well, there's a couple of questions come in which I'll answer. One of them was: is it okay to do a development if you're new to developing?
Everyone has to do their first.
I mean, sorry.
Even I
is it okay to do it remotely?
Oh, look, I've seen people remotely do their first. I'll tell you that. Thanks, man. The key to developing remotely, as you would appreciate, because just about all your projects are remote, is to have a good team at the other end. You can direct it from anywhere. And we've seen examples this morning of project managers or developers, if you like, remotely directing developments elsewhere. We just talked to Keenan. He doesn't live where it's happening. We've talked to Jamie. He's doing it in another state. And I'm doing a retirement village in New South Wales. You're doing stuff in WA and, and all sorts of things. The key is having a good team at the other end. What I mean by a good team, I mean, in terms of finding deals, you need to associate yourself with the right, perhaps a buyer's agent or the right agents. You can do that remotely. I mean, we've got things called telephones and Zooms and all, project meetings on Zoom. And yeah.
Oh, here we are.
But ultimately, like a good town planner and architect at the other end, I've developed in every state except the Northern Territory. Because I've had a good team at the other end. I did a retirement village in Bendigo. How did I do that? I went down there, the whole retirement village, the whole development permit, the whole construction. I went down there 4 times. It's not because I had to go down there. I just felt like a trip to Bendigo. Had the right team there, had the right planners, the right architect, the right builder. So it doesn't matter whether it's your first or your last.
That is okay.
You can.
The other question that came in is funding hard for NDIS at the other end. We've just got really, Bob sort of helps educate the funders half the time, but we have to find the right people that do that, and there are the right people that do that. So we've got the right people to go to at the end.
It's around valuation.
Standard bank kind of don't have any idea.
No.
You have to go to a specialist.
creative work on that one.
So that's the last of the.
I have educated quite a few financiers.
I don't know. That's the last of the two that have come in.
Okay. Good
So
stuff.
now, just to finish off,
This is really important. Tune in.
for those that are in the accelerator, it's kind of what I talked about yesterday. That went in the video that went in yesterday. And if you I'll put a comment in worth watching. So definitely watch it. And it's in podcast in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, they're pre-recorded, but it's really about the system that you're using to achieve what you want and being creative with that. So right now we're in lockdown, we're under a little bit of extra pressure. You know, we can't do what we want to do. You heard Bob and I say straight after this, we're jumping on the bike and going for a bike ride. So it's all about maintaining what's going on up here as a state of health. Even as far as, so to be creative with developing, to be creative, to do something like this. So we're thinking, how can we make everyone else feel and understand that we're all in this together? You know, like everyone's experiencing problems in all sorts of areas, like whether this is giving us pressure in our personal life, not being able to move forward fast enough in our developing world. So doing things as much as you can to live in the now that will give you the best results that you can get, which is all about the systems that you're using. I'm going to share with you a system that Bob and I have implemented lately, and it's just made a huge difference. And that's getting out of bed within 30 minutes of waking up and walking straight away. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be exercise walk. It just means forward motion. It helps the brain, it calms the amygdala down, and it helps with stress and pressure. The other thing that we do is have direct sunlight or direct light. So no sunglasses on, and it's really important for your brain first thing in the morning to get a shot of cortisol, because we have to have a shot of cortisol within 24 hours. This is all science-based. So the earlier you get that, the better and more effective your day will be. This is all stuff that comes with being creative about the way you live your life, being creative about, I'm letting somebody in, being creative about the way that you want to, if you want to achieve things, and you haven't been, it's because you're doing the same things, and I go like that because that's from our past. You're doing the same things over and over, you know that saying, do the same things over and over and expecting a different result. If you want a different result, you have to take different actions. So that's why I do this. Where are you right now, and what are you doing that's different? And the analogy I use, the windscreen on a car is far wider than the rear view mirror. We need to turn our gaze away from what we used to do and think, what do I do to go on my forward venture, to go where I want to go? What's going to get me there? And so it's the actions you take today. Because if you think about everything you've ever done in the past got you to where you are now. You could be unhappy, you could not have enough money, you could be unhealthy, whatever that is, the actions that were accumulated over time got you to here. So it's just a choice and a decision. It's like, okay, I'm going to change that. What do I need to start doing from now? And like we're talking about property development, but I've just explained to you how Bob and I do that with our head. Like, what can we do right now that helps us? And I even said to Bob, I've actually found myself laughing more. Hey, I've been laughing more recently since we started the new, because I was always important for me was getting up and having light straight away. I've done that for a long time, like daylight. But adding that forward motion, not a power walk, just a walk around the block with the dog, it just calms down, it makes life less stressful. It's definitely making a difference.
It's not hooty guru stuff. No, it's science-based. It's science-based
information about how you can be more effective. If you want to be more effective, you want to be happier, you want to achieve different results. I mean, even the fact that reframing what we see, you know, wearing a mask, we're like, oh, I've got to wear a mask. Well, at the moment, I love putting on a mask. It's blooming freezing. So I put on the mask, it's like, oh, it's like another form of scarf for me, you know, and because we're not running, unless you're running, we're, you know, so I just kind of think, it makes you see things differently. It makes us more creative. It made me come up with this idea here. It's like, what could we do that like would make our community feel like excited and feel, you know, like they can have and do and just reignite. So I think that hopefully that just enlightened you a little bit more to think, today's actions give me tomorrow's outcome. Where do you want to be tomorrow? So what actions will you do today? Alrighty, so that's the so Property Mastermind with Hilary, the podcast. It's me, Bob, and a guest, whatever. Jump on, give me some 5 stars. Email me if you've got any constructive, if you've got any requests, if you've got any questions, you feel free to do that. But
get on there with a 5-star.
Yeah, but anyway, back to this. Hopefully this was useful for everybody. Great to have so many of you on. Thank you so much.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. See you everybody. Thank you so much.